1K Dreamer Plays.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we'll be looking at the power-up dungeon and the various teams that I've used to actually complete all the tier 10 levels of the dungeons. I mean, as you know, power-up dungeons are very important for your hero growth. So first off, we'll start off with the Fire Particle dungeon. The team I used was actually Ace, Rachel, Shane, Evan, and Yui. So for Ace, I'm actually using a full block set, and then for his substats, they are more towards a defensive base, HP, percent defense, and hopefully if you have block rate, that'll be even better. For Rachel, I'm actually on a 5-star piece only, and her main stats are actually defensive base and some attack and weakness chance. To be honest, when I was choosing gears for her way back, it's already been 2 months. I didn't really think too much into the substats at that point. I just gave her whatever I had. And then for Shane, okay, this one was more deliberate. I give her double crit damage as the main stats, and hopefully if you have better substats, it'll be better, but my substats absolutely suck. So I mean, unfortunately I have to cope with that. And then for Evan, he's actually on a full defense set for a better shield, and his skill is also enhanced and passive as well. And lastly for Yui, her skills are all enhanced. She's only on a 5-star HP set. All her main stats are HP percentage, because her continuous healing is based off her own HP percentage. So as you may know, this dungeon actually kind of does recommend you to use freeze units, but to be honest, if you don't really want to invest in those freeze units, it's also fine. You can really just brute force through it. Okay, and he actually deals physical damage. So Yui here is mainly for burn immunity. So the way I kind of use my skills is to shield up first, okay, because Evan's shield takes quite a while to cool down. And then next thing I do is actually to use Shane's skills to do some damage first. Some of you may choose to use the Phoenix first, okay, that's also fine I guess, because Phoenix actually helps to allow your Shane to do more damage. Okay, but one important thing is to actually cast the Yui heal ASAP, otherwise if you cast it too late, then your heroes won't be healing back enough later on, okay, or rather it's too much damage for you to heal back. Yeah, so over here I did cast the Phoenix first, and then you will later see that there will be a significant increase in Shane's skills. Very luckily in this run, if I'm not wrong, I managed to hit the crits and the lethals, weakness hits. So when the weakness rate and the critical rate comes through, you can do a lot of damage. And I think that is something that, you know, you want your weapon, your gear substats to have some weakness chance, so that your Shane with sufficient crit rate can still do good damage. Yep, so it isn't too hard, but if you know, if your Shane's critical rate isn't high enough, it isn't hitting 100%, then you need to try to push your gears a little bit more, and then hopefully you can have consistent damage. Over here, again, as I said, I was lucky to have the weakness chance come through. If you do not, then you have to drag on your run a little longer. You may have to shield more, you may have to cast more heals, hopefully, and you can get them down. Next up is the water dungeon. The water dungeon, actually, I'm using Jen on the back line because she's the one that applies poison on the boss. Chloe is here for actually to cast this debuff called Unable to Recover, because the boss does heal with certain skills. Okay, so what you want to do is prevent the boss from healing, because if he heals too much, you will have a very difficult time to clear it. And as for the gears, not ultimate enhanced, my Chloe and my Feng Yan. Feng Yan is here for freeze immunity. Okay, and then for Jane, also I'm actually using a effect hit rate increase for her so that she lands the poison more consistently. You can try defensive gears for her, or if you want to follow mine, you can do that as well, because I really need her to land the poison, because if the poison stacks up, the boss will take a lot of damage and your run will be a lot easier. Evan here, as I mentioned, some pieces are still 5-star, mainly defense percentage on the main stats. And for Yui, again, HP percentage as the main stats, and all skills are enhanced. Here I'm using Kree. I mean, when I cleared this, I was using Kree, but then I realized that Nikki, which is just a rare pet, actually increases effect hit rate a lot more than Kree. So if you guys, Nikki is definitely one of the better options, because actually in all the power-up dungeons here, you are going to apply a certain debuff that will do more damage to the boss. So Nikki could be one of the options you can choose for your pet if you are going to use the debuff strategy. So first off, I'm using Jane's skill. As you can see, she lands 2 poisons. Each hit from her skill can land a poison debuff. Okay, and her basic attack also lands a poison debuff. Next, I'm gonna seal his healing. It seals for 4 turns, so that's pretty good. Also take note that this boss does magic damage. So Yui's basic attack actually reduces magic attack. So I've tried Lina in this boss, but I felt that I was taking too much damage, so the magic attack reduction from Yui actually really helps. So after that, after shielding and healing, okay, as you can see, you do see all the numbers from the poison damage. Yeah, so poison is very useful and effective on this boss. So that could be one strategy you want to go for. But of course, building a Jane just for this, you know, some people might find it very might not be willing to do that, but I think this has been the best strategy. An alternative, of course, is to use Jupi, because Jupi is actually also a red DPS, and she can also cast poison on her basic attack. So Jupi can also be a good backline, and Jane as a support. I've seen people clear the boss with a 5-star Jane. You don't need a 6-star Jane, okay, but as long as she lands the poison, I think you're fine. So this boss, the idea is really just, you know, poison, seal healing, and shield up, heal, and then the rest of the attacks is really free for you to choose whatever. If you want to use your Feng Yan's attacks, that's also fine. If you want to use Jane's top skill because she does more damage to poison enemies, it's also fine. But I don't think the damage is going to be that significant. Okay, the main damage engine for this team is still the poison debuff, which has been doing about 22,000 per poison debuff proc. Yeah, so as you can see, he died to poison, okay, without me attacking, so that's really good. So yeah, this is the team that I have been using for my water dungeon. The next is the earth dungeon, which I haven't been doing for a long time. This dungeon the boss uses physical attack, okay, damage, and I'm using Shane here to brute force through. And then you can also have Rachel and Jay for burn, because the boss takes a lot of damage from burn. The boss also has specially high defense. Okay, so that's something you want to take note. That means, you know, pure attacks aren't going to do that much to the boss. Okay. So the way I start off this run is really to cast the burn right off the bat with Rachel's bottom skill and Jay's top skill. Then I'll be shielding, and then I'll proceed to, you know, use my Shane as the DPS. But during this run, I did realize that, you know, I spent more time looking at the burn, okay, the burn skills, and then I had to also heal. I had to also use other Rachel skills. So to be honest, as you can see, the burn is stacking up really nicely on the boss. Yeah, and I feel that maybe a DPS isn't that necessary. Okay, but Shane, I mean, she does do sufficient damage. Okay, not that much, but yeah, some damage, you know, for you to finish the run a little bit faster. But you know, if you don't want to use Shane, it's also fine. I've also tried with Rachel at the back, Rachel as the backline unit as the DPS, and then you can also have another burn unit on the front line. So if you have 3 burn units, I'm pretty sure you can take down this boss very easily. Evan and Yui is here for sustain. You do need Evan or Seek because the boss does stun you. So Evan or Seek will give you the stun immunity that you need for this boss. So as you can see, the cooldown timings, they are very how should I put it? I mean, if the burn skills are cooled down, you would rather use the burn skills rather than Shane's skills, right? And if the shield is up, then I would rather shield because I want to be able to survive in this boss. So I kind of took a more defensive approach here. So I barely used my Shane skills, if you realized. To be honest, I would feel that in this dungeon you can use Lina if you do have a Lina, because this boss, he does physical damage, so Yui isn't really the best choice here. Lina actually helps to also provide continuous healing and heals you directly, and also buffs your damage. So if you're going to use a DPS with 2 burn units like myself here, I think Lina is a better choice. And as you can see, the damage the boss does is not that much, because I don't think I showed my gear yet. I'll show you guys later, but my Jave is very poorly geared. So if you put him in another boss fight, he will probably have died. Yeah, so we are really close now. I'm landing another burn, the final burn here, and hopefully we'll just kill him with basic attacks. Yep. So Rachel, again, just 5-star gear, geared very long ago. More defensive base, I would say, and with all attack percent and weakness chance. My Jave, as you can see, only has 5-star gear. Considering he was used as a farmer, I think this is pretty embarrassing. But yeah, I didn't really invest in him that much, but he does have an all attack percent on the gear, on the armor, and then also a crit rate or crit damage on the weapon. Okay, so not that amazing. For Shane, she is using all attack percent as for the armors and crit damage main stats for the weapons. Yui HP gear, all HP percent, and Evan defense gear, 3 out of 4 defense percent. Next up, we have the Light Particle Dungeon. This is a team that's more unique, I would say. For Yui and Evan, I don't think I need to talk about them anymore. But here I'm using Yonhee because her skills actually are all multi-hit. 3 hits on both skills. Okay, so it helps to bring down the boss's shields very efficiently. The boss actually has about 60 shields, if I'm not wrong, at this tier. Chloe here is for shock immunity, and she also has this skill that does a 3-time hit. Okay, this skill that we previously used in the water dungeon, so that's also good. And she has buff removal, and then I think Joker also has buff removal and also has a 7-time hit skill. So this is actually very good against this boss. He's basically made for this boss, if I'm not wrong, because the boss also does cast a magic attack increase buff, and I mean these 2 units can easily just remove them. I did not invest in their gear that much, but I did give them 6-star gear so that they don't die that easily, and I think that will be the most I'll be giving them unless I feel really rich next time. So how I start off this is casting the 7 hit from Joker, and then I'm going to proceed to shield and heal so that my heroes will survive. I think that if you have been using heroes like Joker and not investing in them, you'll realize that they die very easily. So that is why I gave him block here, so that he can tank a little more. And then since the Pookie, the boss, has cast his magic attack increase buff, I decided to remove it and then continue on the quest to remove his shields. Take note that Joker's basic attack also hits 2 times, so yeah, as I said, he's totally meant for this boss. I think this was one of the easier bosses, and one of the ones that I think the one that I cleared tier 10 the fastest. Yeah, because once Yonhee came out and I just put together this team, then I just thought like, oh, I think I can just go all the way, as long as Joker doesn't die. So yeah, your sustenance actually is very important. From Evan, the shield, from Yui, the heals. they actually help a lot. So if you invest in your Evan and your Yui, you can actually take down quite a lot of PvE content early on. So as you can see, the boss is completely down, the shields are all down, so now it's all about attacking and it takes a lot of damage. He has basically no stats. Yeah, he takes so much damage, like even Joker does significant damage to him, so you can imagine the amount of HP he actually has. So yeah, it's a very easy clear once the shields are down. The problem you will face if you are progressing is that even though you can break the shields, but the turns go by so fast and then the boss does so much damage to you that you end up not being able to clear the shields in time. So for Darkness 10, it's actually the most difficult. This was actually my clear team, and I think I really cleared it by chance. I'll just share it with you guys so that you guys can consider if you want to use something like that. I also took this up from a Korean YouTuber. So I'm using Bidam. I thankfully had a Bidam. So actually all his skills, his basic skill and one of his skills actually bleeds. He functions similar to Jane, whereby each attack that he does, he can actually bleed even on the skill. So there are times when he can cast up to 2 bleeds in one skill. The alternative to Bidam is the other archer, who is Soy, because Soy actually has a more guaranteed chance to bleed based on her single attack. It has 100% chance, and her basic attack also has higher chance to bleed. And she also provides quintuple target attack resistance, so that means the boss's AoE is going to hit a little bit less harder on you. And because this boss does physical damage, Lucy here, Lucy actually can also reduce physical attack from her with her basic attack, so that's actually pretty good. Okay, so yeah, so this is the team that I used to clear, but unfortunately when I was recording this video, I could not do it again. So I think I was truly really lucky to be able to clear this boss with this team. I think my Bidam was hitting all the bleeds without fail. So I'll show you guys another team recommended by my friend Castile. He used this team, Leo, with Pascal as the main DPS, and there was not much struggle. So I tried it myself and I think it was also really good. So my Leo is very undeveloped, and I gave him attack with attack main stats, attack gear set with attack main stats, because bleed is based on attack. Okay, and this was because I was using the bleed com. But in this case, I don't think you really need a bleed com. The bleed is actually supplementary, just secondary damage. Chloe here, I'm using Chloe here for the debuff removal, because as you know, this boss actually casts defense down on you, and if you don't cleanse it, you will get hit really hard. So Lucy is also here to do the cleansing along with Chloe. Here's my Lena, only 5-star gear. Okay, I tried to give her all HP percentage, and she also is able to heal my team and boost Pascal's damage. And because I'm using Pascal, so actually her damage increase skill is actually more valuable compared to using it in the bleed comp. Okay, so depending on the comp, certain units have different utilities and your entire skill queue will change. So first things first, I cast the bleed, but Leo also does cast a defense reduction on the boss, so that's, I think, the best way to start with. And the boss will always use Curse Wave as the first skill, so immediately after this skill you need to cleanse. The first cleanse that I use is Lucy's cleanse. Okay, and then I will proceed to cast Lena's heal, because as you can see, my Pascal is already half health down. Okay, so after Lena's heal, I proceed to start to buff and then try to strike the boss as hard as I can with Pascal. I forgot to talk about my Pascal's gear, but he's actually on the boss set with crit rate and crit damage main stat on the weapons and all attack percent on the armors. So Pascal, after attacking, immediately try to cleanse, but of course if Curse Wave comes, you can use Chloe to cleanse. So this is how the double cleansing works, okay, so that you will not be taking damage at all throughout this entire process. So Pascal will reset his skill cooldown. He will also get 2 damage nullification because I enhance his skill. And then strike again, do big damage. From here you will really need to try to quickly cycle his skills, because as you can see my Leo died. At about turn 30 this boss gets incredibly crazy. So Lucy's bottom skill, the healing skill, actually can lower cooldown for Pascal, and that's how they work really well together in the Iron Devourer as well. So yeah, Lucy is quite a good partner for Pascal. So once the bottom cooldown is done, I quickly Q it, but not without healing first. Healing is still very important. I cannot afford Chloe to die. So once that is done, I quickly reset Pascal's skill, and as you can see, his damage, okay, his HP for the boss is already down to about 30%, and hopefully Pascal can quickly finish this off and we will call it a day. Again, unfortunately, another curse wave hits. As you can see, my Leo is almost dead. So it gets a little tricky at this point. My damage from my Pascal is definitely not the best because his gear substats are also horrible. So I mean, with better substats you will definitely do better. Okay, so I know you guys will be looking at the T5 Pascal there, but honestly, if your gear isn't great, having a T5 Pascal doesn't mean anything, okay? And last but not least, we have the gold dungeon. Again, we'll be using Pascal here. He's a very strong DPS. We're using Ariel as well for magic damage increase. I'm using a block set on her and more defensive main stats. And then I'm using Espada here. Espada here is for magic vulnerability decrease. She's on her typical DPS set with a crit rate set with crit damage and crit rate substats on the weapons, and then attack percent as main stats on the armor. One alternative you can use is Victoria, but Victoria doesn't do as much damage as Espada, which can come in clutch. Dina here, full HP set, mainly for the damage increase, and Asura here, not for the taunt, but for the defense down, that can last pretty long, 5 turns. So you don't have to keep casting it. So I think the skill queue here is very important. The first skill I'm using is the Asura skill to cast the defense down. The next skill I'll be using is actually the Espada skill to increase magic vulnerability for 5 turns. Then I'm gonna use the Lina top skill to increase my damage and Pascal's damage. Now because Lina's skill only lasts for 3 turns, you want to cast it as close to Pascal's skill as possible, because if you have any other skill in between, then your Pascal, is not gonna come back in time to benefit from that buff. So as you can see here, after Pascal uses his skill, immediately cool it down, okay, and then cast it again. Lina's skill at this point is only 1 turn left, so you have to use this buff wisely, okay, time it properly, because initially when I was trying out this team, I was using Lina's buff first, and then it actually ran out and I didn't do enough damage from Pascal. Okay, yeah, so that's very important. And as you can see, Espada came in clutch with her top skill, and we finally cleared it off with just basic attacks. So very efficient run, and I think if you don't have Espada here, it could be a little tough because Victoria definitely isn't going to do as much damage unless your Pascal does more damage than mine and can cut the boss even harder immediately. Then you can use Victoria, because Victoria actually buffs Pascal even better. So that's all for this video for Power Up Dungeons. I hope this video helped, and if it did, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions regarding the teams and heroes used, you can always leave them in the comments below. I'll see you guys really soon. Thank you so much, and see you!